Welcome to Season 2 of the Retail Tea Break. My name is Melissa Moore, founder of The Retail Advisor. As a consultant, mentor, trainer and lecturer, I enable retailers and makers to reach their potential through sales growth and excellence in customer experience. I'm also your host of the Retail Tea Break. Each week, I'll be joined by industry experts, retailers and makers to decode the myths, share stories, and their insights into this industry of ours. So if you enjoy listening to the Retail Tea Break, subscribe to the podcast and share it with others in the industry too. So sit back, grab that cup of tea and listen in. Welcome to the Retail Tea Break. Today, I'm joined by a lady who, along with her family, runs several successful physical and online stores from right here in the west of Ireland. Having been in business nearly 100 years, they became known during the pandemic for literally going the extra mile by personally delivering shoes to customers to try on and buy on their very doorsteps. Tracy Phillips from Phillips Menswear and Phillips Shoes, welcome to the Retail Tea Break.
Hello, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for fitting me into your busy schedule. I'm absolutely thrilled to have such an established local business come on to the Retail Tea Break.
Oh, the pleasure's all ours.
Oh, you're very good. Well, listen, before we kick off then, in the age-old tradition, in the time that it takes to boil a kettle, tell us about you and the business.
Okay, well, our business, Phillips Menswear and Phillips Shoes, was established back in 1924, so almost a century ago. It was actually established by my grandmother, which is something I'm really proud of because it was way before women, girl power, or even the phrase "women breaking glass ceilings" was even invented. So yeah, my grandmother, along with her brother, set up the store Phillips, and it was at the time it was a general draper store, so it sold everything from suits to working gear to general drapery, and also had a bar in the background as well. So
Wow.
every sale was sealed with the drink. So unfortunately, that part of the business is gone now. But so yeah, basically, my grandmother then went on to have one child, which was my mother, and she married my father, and both of them worked in the business and had a thriving business and a very good reputation and very well supported by local people. So from all around the local areas. So they that business was thriving, and they went on to have 10 children. So things were very good for a good while and happy days. Unfortunately, in 1982, my father died very young, and he was 49, so way too young, and left the business. There was 10 children left to run the business. So my eldest brother at the time would have been 19, and he was in college. So it was my other brothers who were 17, 16, 15, all those ages that actually took over the realms, took turns between going to school, go to school one day, work the business the next day, just tag teamed that way to keep their education going and to work in the business. So literally, hit the ground running.
That is incredible. What an amazing achievement for the family to keep the business going. And I'm sure it's such a tough time as well. But it just shows what an incredible family you have, but also how strong the business is.
Yeah, well, all of my brothers really, they did a fantastic job, and they were so young. I mean, if you look at a 16 or 15-year-old now, it would be a big ask to run a business. And I think at the time you're just thrown into it, so you don't think about the enormity of it. You just get on with getting on. So it was a case of that. But they were natural to it. They were born with it, and they're just brilliant. They're just genuinely interested in it and brilliant with people and cared about people, and it stood to them, all this time.
It's amazing. And and you know what it shows? And I think that warmth and the natural kind of service you give, and I think the fact that you are very much rooted both in the family and in the community really shows. So that kind of gives us a whistle stop tour of the last 100 years. I have to ask, what's the last couple of years been like? Because I presume you've seen massive changes.
Yeah, I mean, basically, with the shop, our original shop was basically like most families who lived in towns. There was a shop was underneath, and then we lived behind it, above the store. But then in 1992, shopping changed. So people wanted, instead of traditionally people come in and they'd ask for something, whereas in the 90s people wanted to come in and browse and have that space and be left to their own devices for a while and then maybe look for the service. So we moved our menswear into a big unit. We opened up a huge unit just lower down the street. It's about 3,000 square feet, so plenty of room to browse. And then we also did the same for our footwear. So both sectors were taking off really well. A couple of years later, then we opened a second store in another town in Mayo, Claremorris. So and that again is 3,200 square feet. So we went from one store to 3 physical stores. So yes, that was amazing. Just getting new brands and stocking the stores and merchandising and all this new type of retailing was taking off. Retail is always evolving, really, but that was a particularly exciting time.
That's amazing. So we've gone from one successful store to rapidly growing to this group of stores, and obviously then splitting the business. So that happens, and then I presume really that started to happen because the local need was there. I presume a lot of your customers, because at that stage you were still quite physical, it was the local community. It was the local community looking for the suits for things like the confirmations and the communions or the school shoes coming in. What's that kind of warmth from the community meant to you over the years?
Well, like local shopping is the backbone of our business. Like we wouldn't be here without it, and that's the bottom line. So it's mutually beneficial. I mean, having people come into the store, chatting to them. From a financial point of view, it's obviously better because you've more chance of buying stuff in store than online. People come into store for a particular item, but perchance you might see something else, whereas online there's less chance of that. But just purely from a holistic point of view, it's superb. It's that human interaction, meeting people. Like people need people at the end of the day. Lockdown definitely showed us that, and it's just that human interaction. It's what we love to do. And like you're saying with generational thing, it's like we have people that have come through that would have, their grandparents would have come to us. Now they're coming to us for their wedding. They come to us for their communion suit. They come to us for their wedding suit. And the story goes on and on. So it's a fantastic, wonderful bubble to be in, and it's great community spirit. So yeah, it's a pleasure for us to be part of the journey of people's journey. So many people's journeys, good times and bad times and everything. Going for their first job interview and they come in, they're getting married and everything. So it's great to be part of that story.
That sounds so, and I never would have thought of that, Tracy, but that sounds so incredibly special. I can't imagine what it's like, as a young boy going in for your first Holy Communion suit or your outfit, and actually there you might be 20 or 30 years later going in for your wedding suit. That's just
amazing.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. It's a fantastic experience, and it's just a great atmosphere. It's always a great buzz in store and a real, homely, relaxed atmosphere. So it's great to be part of it. It's a pleasure to be part of it, of people's lives. So it's an honor, really.
And that kind of shop local, and the fact that you obviously know so many of your customers so well, it's for me what differentiates it. Shopping locally in a local town like we have here in Mayo, or going up, as we were talking about before we started recording, to Dublin, or popping into a shop in Paris or London. There seems to be something really special about going into your local store. I mean, do you see that from the customer's perspective?
Yeah. Absolutely, Melissa. Like I say, it's mutually beneficial. Like for us, it's great for people coming into the store. Obviously, we wouldn't survive without it. But for people as well, it's great to have these stores. Like at the end of the day, small businesses contribute a huge part to living in rural Ireland. And we wouldn't be able to live in rural Ireland without these businesses that are providing services or goods or employment. To be able to go into your local pharmacy and talk to your pharmacist rather than having a video call with your pharmacist online, or to be able to go into a coffee shop and perchance meet someone, or even just seeing people and or going in to try on something in a store to physically feel it and touch it and try it on. And you're on about next day delivery or delivery being fast, or next day delivery or drone delivery, but when you go to a store you have it there and then, so it doesn't get quicker than that. But absolutely, like small businesses, I'm completely in awe of anyone that opens up any sort of a business in rural Ireland, or anywhere in Ireland for that matter, because you are contributing to the quality of life that we have here. And there's fantastic convenience to be able to be in your car and 10 minutes later in a village and you're trying on a suit, or you're having a cup of coffee, or you're speaking to your dentist, or at your hairdressers. It's a great quality of life we have here, and businesses contribute a huge part towards that quality of life we have in Ireland.
Definitely, it's certainly, and I suppose on a personal note, it's one of the reasons we moved west 6 years ago, and you're certainly never getting rid of us at this stage, because of that factor that actually I can pop to my nearest town, I can get free parking very easily, and then within moments I've been to the butcher or into the bank. We're lucky enough to still have a bank here. Do my clothes shopping, I can buy a pair of shoes, I can see the chemist. And as you say, I could have a gorgeous lunch or dinner like we had last night, all within a few meters of each other. And I think my fear is that we've certainly seen some towns around Ireland that aren't as lucky as maybe we are here to have such a sense of community. I suppose in that respect, what's it like keeping that alive? Because you're very much the heart of your community where you are. How do you do that from a business perspective?
Well, you just have to always keep your customer number one. Like we're in the retail business, but I always think of us more in the terms of being in the service industry. Like we're there to serve at the end of the day. Like you can buy a suit online. You can take out your phone out of your pocket and you can get any shoe or any suit anywhere in the world and deliver to your door. So you have to look after people and take care of them, be genuinely interested in them. And I think if you look after your customers and you're genuine, and genuinely they can see you genuinely care about them and you have their best interest at heart, then it keeps both town and communities alive. So
it's the biggest USP, as you say, here to serve. I love that, and I think it's really genuine when you go to an independent, wherever it is in the country. There's a genuine need for you to keep your doors open by doing the best by the customer, and I think that really shows. It's absolutely gorgeous. So you mentioned the online there, and I'd love to talk about, I suppose, the positive aspect of online, because a lot of your physical shoppers would be local or they might be traveling from one of the neighboring towns. But online, how has the shop local from an all Ireland perspective benefited you?
Sorry, can you say that again, Melissa?
The shop local from an online perspective, I suppose, has it just been customers that are shopping online from the nearest towns, or has it gone throughout Ireland for the online shopping with your e-commerce sites?
It's definitely a mixed bag. I would say more so. I'd say it's people from further afield that would shop online with us. It seems to be what happens is when people come into our store. Let's say you come in for an outfit, and people will get styled and sized, and they'll go out and they'll know what their size and fit is, be it in the Phillips shoes or Phillips menswear. And then when they go home, then they think, actually, I wouldn't mind another pair of those, or those shoes were nice, and I wish I got the other color. And then they will come back and they'll buy with confidence online because they know what size and style fits them. But from the same point of view, we have people who've never heard of Phillips shoes and Phillips menswear shopping online, basically because we have what they need. So if they go into Google and they Google Remus Uomo, or they Google Gabor or Clark's or Wonders shoes, and we have what they want in their size, they're just going to order it and they get it delivered to the door next day. It's like you're saying, if you imagine the lady living in Dublin, and she's thinking, right, I got to go to town, pack the two kids in the car, park.
It's hard work.
It takes the fun out of shopping, whereas you can just go online, order phillipsshoes.ie, and you have them at your door the next day. So it does take a lot of hassle out of shopping. So yeah, we have customers ranging from Achill to Australia, and
wow.
It's fantastic. A lot of those, of the Irish diaspora abroad are fantastic supporters as well. And it's a thing we never thought about really with online, is that especially I think it was the day before Father's Day, actually, I went on the website and there was 10 orders all from Canada and Australia. And I thought, what's going on here? This is, I don't know how much we had worked out. Our website was only about 3 months old at the time. And I was thinking, delivery to Australia, have we worked that one out? But I realized it was actually people who were in Australia and they were ordering gifts for their family at home. And obviously the delivery address was to their dad or their brother in Ireland. So
that is incredible. You know what, genuinely now, that's a new one for me. That is such a brilliant story.
We didn't even think of that, when we were setting up the online business. It was just a really nice bonus. But I mean, and then when you think about it, it's like, actually, yeah, that makes sense, because you can be in a cafe in Melbourne, take out your phone, order a shirt for your brother, and we also have the facility where we'll do a handwritten card and write what you want in it, etc. And then we'll deliver it to them, so they'll get it within 24 hours. It saves you, the hassle of going to Melbourne, and if it doesn't fit your brother in mail, you have to send it back to Melbourne to be returned, or just the hassle of it. You can be in your cafe in Melbourne, order a gift for your brother, and he has it in Mayo in 24 hours. So
how easy and convenient is that? And you're not worried that it's going to get lost somewhere. You're not worried about customs charges.
yeah,
And
exactly,
also, I suppose it comes down to the fact that there's a trust factor, because you've been in business so long, you know your customers, you have the best of brands, whether it's in the menswear or the ladies and men's shoes,
yeah.
that people literally trust you from all over the world now to get it right, to look after the customer. And as you say, even if that customer might need an extra size, if they pop back into store or they give you a buzz, you sort them out, no problem. There's something really powerful about that.
Yeah. Like as we said, if there's any problem, there's no problem.
Wow.
There's nothing that can't be sorted out. So we just try to take the hassle out of shopping for people. And make it. Shopping is supposed to be fun, enjoyable. Like I said, you can take out your phone and shop anywhere in the world. And get what you want. So we're there for it. We have to have come in a different angle where we're there to just look after people. And why wouldn't you?
And you do it so well. So Camilla, it makes me ask, I have to talk about the little clip from during the pandemic where you were seen hand delivering these shoes for people to try on, to buy during the pandemic, for people that obviously couldn't get into you. It's again, you going the extra mile. It's something that must be literally in the blood of the business, Tracy.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it was actually something that used to do years ago. You'd bring things out to people if they couldn't get in, or local people.
Wow.
You'd give them a few to try on, because you'd know people. In the early days, you would know every single customer and their family, and so they're fine. Give them a couple of shirts or suits to try, or a couple of shoes, and they'll bring them in a few days. So that was a thing that was done years ago, but. Like I said, in the 90s and the noughties, shopping completely changed, and that's kind of a thing of the past now. But it was basically, like I was saying in the clip, when lockdown happened, and it was, for everybody, it was a shock. And, like I said, we literally thought lockdown had us knocked down. We thought, this is it. This is the end of the journey. This is the end of the road. But what happened was literally about 2 days into lockdown, a local business rang my brother and said, we're on our feet. We're really, we're really tired. Our feet are killing us. We're kind of known to have good brands. So she rang my brother and said, can you bring me out a pair of certain shoes in a certain size? And my brother went, yeah. And he brought out, of course, you'd always bring up a size above and a size below, because, different, and he just thought, actually, she might like those too. So he brought out a selection, basically, for her. He filled the boot of the car, brought them out to her. And she came out and got her shoes, and that was fine. And then another lady came over and said, actually, can I have a look in the boot there? And it literally went like almost car boot sale, and it just kind of took off. They told their story to someone else. The Phillips came out and did this for us, and they said, oh, would they come to us? And we literally just went around. People were ringing us up then, looking from essential footwear and workwear to people who were looking. Also, it evolved into people just wanting to gift. They were saying, it's my brother's birthday. I haven't seen him in 4 months. His size. Him. Can you drop some things to him? And so yeah, it really took off. And it was literally, like we say, from the fitting room to the front door. So it was just it was great for us too, because we went from thinking, for 36 hours there, this is it, to we were absolutely flat out. Like, we were so busy. There was some morning, and then the online took off, and then we focused on our online because we had the time to focus on online. We had an online business about 3 years before the pandemic, but it was just there the same way you have a phone or a fax. It was just what everyone did, but we didn't put any effort into it. So during the pandemic, we had got time to, okay, look, how does this actually work, and how do you get people to your website? And basically that took off as well, to the point, some mornings we were actually working harder. We were going in sometimes at 6 o'clock in the morning to pack orders, to have them out in time for the delivery, and people were just living on their packages, because it was like everyone was at home, and it was like
Christmas every day during the pandemic.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's incredible. So not only did the physical store, I suppose, not only just keep ticking over, but you were super busy. But it's lovely to hear that You were very lucky. You know, you were a savvy business anyway. No wonder you've lasted the 100 years, that you had two strong e-commerce sites before the pandemic. But as you say, they grew and grew during the pandemic because you worked with them. And I suppose what I'm hearing from you is that you didn't just then treat them like an extension of the phone, that you actually started to run your e-commerce sites like physical stores, like separate entities that you had to put the work and the time into.
Yeah, exactly. It is like I said, when we first got the website, it was just there, and we just thought, people would browse or land on your website. But then we had to really school up on that, because it's not something, it's completely new to us. It's a completely different language, and we knew nothing about it, to be honest. So that was a huge learning curve, quite time consuming, but very interesting and very exciting as well. So yeah, it was.
Any tips then in that respect, I suppose, from the bad days maybe, or the times that things didn't work online? Any tips for kind of a retailer out there that might be newly developing a website? I know there's still plenty out there that don't have one, or even someone struggling right now to kind of cope with understanding the e-commerce side of the business. Any
Yeah,
tips?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. The first thing I would say to someone is you need to understand it. Like it's like, it's very difficult, because especially from independent retailers and any SMEs, you have to wear so many hats. So it's very tempting to just say to someone, you take over the e-commerce side, you do all of that. But you really need to be on top of it yourself, because it is your business and it's how you're portrayed, virtually. So you need to be, your personality and your brand needs to shine through all the time. So, so whether, even if you do, if you're lucky enough to have enough money to outsource all that side of the business, then I think you still need to understand it, so that you can understand, how it works. And when you're having your monthly call with your marketeer and marketing company, that you can, the right questions to ask them. So even though it is tedious and it is time consuming, you do need to understand at least the basics of online e-tailing and social media and how it all works.
Really,
Because when you
really. Anything else you'd say to people? Anything else that I suppose you've learned the hard way, or even successes that you've had that you've noticed over
yeah.
the last couple of years?
The thing is, there's a lot of talk about, especially now the Leo were giving, the local enterprise office were giving out lots of grants, and there was this kind of idea, oh, get online and everything will be fine. And like, online is, we've been very successful online, and we're very grateful for online. And when you're sitting, having a cup of coffee and the phone bings and it's an order coming online, that'll never get old. You always do a little happy dance in your head when that happens. But it is hard work, and when you have a website, that's one step of the thing, is getting a website. The second step is getting people to your website. So like, owning a website is, there's so many websites out there on www. It's like pointing to a field and saying, I own one blade of grass in that field.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. That's so true.
How do you get people to notice your little blade of grass? So that's why I'm saying it's really important to educate yourself on all the marketing, the funnel, how it works, the awareness, and how you drive it down to sales. And just also, I would also be careful with, if you do get, like, a lot of companies would come along and they would, dangle very tempting carrots in front of you and say about, we can get your sales to, such a level and that. But at the end of the day, online comes down to the figures, and you really have to finesse your figures. Otherwise, you can be very busy online but not making any money, and you're just a busy fool. So you really need to understand, if it's tempting, all these different people come to you and say, get this plugin on your website and everything will take off, but by the time you pay, say, your marketing company, you pay for your advertising, you pay your Trustpilot, you pay your web domain, you pay your web host, there's very little profit out of the items that we sell, like footwear and clothing, to pay all these people. So you really have to finesse your figures, and and be careful who you do employ to do that for you. It's a really important thing. It's worth waiting for the right person.
I would 100% agree with that advice. I think that's really genuine and also really important advice, Tracy, there. You have to know your e-com business as well as you know your physical store, as you're saying. Figures are definitely important. It's the analytics. It's watching the figures, as you said before we started recording. It's keeping an eye on what's coming in and what's going out, but also 100% trusting the person who looks after any of these areas, just like you would trust a member of staff that works for you every day, is vital, because they're still meeting your customer, even though they're not meeting them face to face. Anyone you invite in to work for your business represents you. So really, really, really good advice there that I think is so important in today's world of retail.
Yeah, exactly. And if you spent a long time building up your reputation, and ideally you'd have your e-commerce site as close as possible to the in-store experience as possible. But it is hard work. It is time consuming. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. And have finesse your figures, and upskill yourself and educate yourself on how it all works. So that you can know to ask the right questions if you do outsource it to someone else to do it.
Brilliant, really well said. So look, as we finish up, and I tell you, we could definitely talk for hours. What's coming up? And I don't even want to say 6 months like I normally do. What's coming up for the next 100 years for the businesses, Tracy?
A lot of Botox, that's for sure. Yeah, so since things have reopened in the last few weeks, it is phenomenally busy. It's like everyone has gone and tried on their suit and realized the style has changed, or so
it doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but yeah, it's absolutely fantastically busy in store at the moment. So we're just basically, we've a lot of we're doing some renovations in the store. We want to get that done as well, because when you reopen after 2 years, everything's tired and you have to keep things fresh. So we're just a few renovations we're trying to get done, and also going to some trade fairs hopefully to get out there. And so we're very big on sourcing Irish brands, because we think Irish brands, we're quite lucky at the moment. We have a few very good Irish brands, and they're designed by people here in the west of Ireland.
Wow, that's so important.
They're designed by Irishmen for Irishmen, so we're just keen to get more Irish brands like that. They're brilliant, So lots of trade fairs coming up at the moment, so and a few internationally as well. So yeah, so that'll be exciting. You have to get on a plane. I've forgotten how to get on a plane. But yeah, so that, looking forward to that. Yeah.
Exciting times ahead. And it's lovely to hear then, not only are you such a strong advocate of shop local, but also buying Irish and supporting Irish brands in the local area, which is wonderful. It's so needed right now.
Yeah, it's great, and it's unique as well, because like a lot of the brands are synonymous and they're everywhere. So and they are the brands people come back for again and again, because they just they go, you always put on what's comfortable and what fits you. So they are successful. So we're very lucky to have them, to be honest. I really admire the people that develop them. So they're doing a great job.
How wonderful. Oh, Tracy, before I let you go, give us the 2 websites for the 2 shops again.
So it's phillipsshoes.ie and phillipsmenswear.ie.
Fantastic, guys, definitely check them out. It's an incredible story. They're 2 incredible brands, and what an amazing family to have kept everything going so well for so long. So look, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the Retail Tea Break. Definitely check out Phillips Menswear and Phillips Shoes online. And if you're in Mayo over the summer, please do pop in. I'm sure the teams will be delighted to see you. So till next time, Tracy, thank you so much for being on today's podcast episode.
Thanks, Melissa. I really enjoyed it.